symposium last year, and the way that person went about it, afterwards I went and made some, and I did it his way. But then I had to do so much carving to get what I wanted. I ended up going about it a different way. Okay, so this is the end result, and you get 2 from each piece. Okay, and let me get a ruler, give you some numbers. The overall length is about 3 3/4, 3 5/8, somewhere in that area. Okay, the handle end is about 2 inches. Okay, and the steer end is about just under 1 7/8 inches. And the reason the steer is at that size, and I'm just going to show you this stuff before I actually go and do the demonstration, just kind of explain the process. But the guy that did it actually uses this tool to shape the steer. He gets it close, and then he shapes it with this. So I basically did the same thing. Okay, so when he turned it, he had a piece. Oh, I don't want to use that.
So that tool is basically just a hole saw, right?
Pardon? Yeah. It's a 2-inch hole saw, or thereabouts. The inside diameter is just under 1 7/8. Okay, so I just ground the end, and I actually use 4 screws to hold it to the handle. Okay, and then you just touch it on a stone, on a flat thing to touch it. You don't have to do it very often. So basically, when the guy that demoed this, and I'm really lousy on names, he turned it to be between centers, and he made a tenon, and he held it by this end. And he went and did all the turning, and then he cut this off. Okay, then you have to turn around and have something so you can cut it in half. So this is just something I turned, I stuck some rubber in there so it wouldn't be able to move. And I made a clamp so that way I can go and cut it. And I'm not going to cut one tonight, not with a video going or whatever, but basically once you get it turned, you cut it, and then you have a special jaws. Once it's cut, that this fits in, it closes off, and you drill a depth thing, and then you turn it. But then after you cut it, I didn't like the flat surface, so I ended up carving that out. And after I did that, I realized, geez, if I go about it a little differently, I can get that built into it. So my approach is that and I'm going to show this, I turn between centers, set a tenon, and then turn it, and I do the handle end before I cut it off, and then I can stick this in the chuck to finish this and whatnot. Okay, so my approach is a little different, but I'm going to go through and do it. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so when I do these, very seldom do I measure stuff. Okay, I make I have this little, I don't know if you can see it, but basically it's just telling me where the low is and then where the top of the bulb is. Okay, and so I have 3 calipers set up. This one's set for 2 inches for the flared end. This one's set at about 7/8 of an inch, and that's for the low. And then this one is set to the 1 7/8. Okay. So I'm able to take my little storyboard, okay, and mark where I'm going to be holding depths. Okay. Now, I work with wood that I have, and most of it is cut on the bandsaw. So I don't get too concerned about accurate pieces. So here's a piece. This is probably what, 4.5 inches long, 5 inches long, 4.5 inches long. The end result is 3 7/8, 3 3/4, 3 5/8, whatever. So I'm going to switch to the overhead camera. Okay, and okay, no, is it? Oh, the camera moved. There we go. Okay, so what you're looking at right there is a step center, okay, with a 2-inch piece of wood on there. Okay, and I have the same type of thing for my tailstock. And by having that, I can take my chunk of wood, and as long as stuff is sticking out of the sides, it's good to go. Okay, and that gives me a dead bag reference for the tenon. Now, I'm not sure what this is, probably a piece of maple. Okay, but let me put my face shield on. Hopefully, oh boy, this might not work. Well, I'm not going to use my face shield with this headset thingy. Okay, it spins. Okay, step center. This is the center that came with the lathe. It's got a 3/4 10 thread on there, so I made a piece with a 3/4 10 hole in the middle and just screw it on. Okay, time for some noise and some turning. And this is it's a skew that I've sharpened. Hey, could you see that? Where I'm actually going in and I'm watching the wood, and now that's gonna fit the tenon real well. It fit in the chuck real well. I'm gonna do one more. And again, I don't get real fussy. I just make sure that the pieces are even in these. So this piece is a little rectangular. So when I make stuff, I don't do a lot of measuring. Okay, that's how I set it up so I can turn them. When I make anything, this is how I go about it. Okay. So everybody seen enough of roughing down? Hello?
Yep, I think we're set there.
Okay.
Can you show us the step center with the collar on it? What the, you knock it off of there, or is it attached?
Okay, so this is, I put a little CA glue on it because it actually cracked. See the crack?
Mhm.
See, I actually have metal ones, but I tried to do everything tonight to make it so that way, you know, I make everything out of metal. So here's a safety drive. It's a robust safety drive with a 3/4 10 thread on it. I made this basically the same type of a thing that gives me 2 inches to go to. And I actually have a metal one for the live center as well. But I did the wood so that anybody could make that. Okay. Just because I make it out of metal doesn't mean it has to be that, you know?
Nice.
Okay, so now you probably see a little wood collar on my lathe. Well, that's because I don't have adapters in any of my chucks. And that's because I have the adapters on my lathe so I can use, I don't have to play games with any of the chucks to go between the 3 lathes that I have. Okay. So now on this chuck, let me take that. I'm going to take the witness thing off of the live center. Excuse me, I'm changing tool rest. Now I have a brake built into my lathe, just because I don't necessarily want to wait for it to slow down all the time. Okay, so I'm just gonna make it. Okay, on the end it's 2 inches. This is the length. Now, I've actually modified my parting tool so I can actually plunge all the way. But, okay, and then this is for the bulb. Okay, so the gouge I'm going to use is actually a bowl gouge that's sharpened at 30 degrees as a spindle gouge. This is Benjamin's Best. hey, to me, it's just a tool. Yep. I'm nervous. It's a regular spindle turn, so you turn downhill. I put a little chamfer on the end. Now I'm gonna hollow out the end. Oop, I have a little, have to do a little repair there, a little torn out grain. Hopefully I didn't mess it up so it'll still fit the chuck. Now I'm gonna go and hollow it out a bit. I actually have a drill set up with tape. Can you see that? I can go to a tailstock camera.
Yeah, maybe try the tailstock, see what that looks like.
Okay, let's see if I think this is a tailstock. Yeah, okay. So I've seen the people that do the drilling by hand with a handheld drill and a piece of wood. And I actually did that for this, but it bounced a bit. So this is a drill, the size is irrelevant. I'm gonna drill to the tape.
What size drill?
Under a ½ inch. You know, it's not fussy. The thing is that I'm drilling out for the handle. And now I'll go and haul that out. And I'm using so I've only got 4 tools here. I've got the spindle roughing gouge, I've got my potting tool, and then I've got my bowl gouge. Oh, I actually have 5 because I have the skew for the tenon. Okay. And Whoops. Too much light, huh?
Yeah, it's a little washed out.
That better?
Yep, we can see where you're hollowing.
Okay. Yeah, see, by doing what I'm doing right there, I save so much time on the hand forming. Now, I gotta go in there a little bit further inside. I actually have this is let's see here. Okay, this is actually an Allen wrench sharpened as a negative rake scraper. Let's try this. Okay, well, I have to get rid of all my lights. So it's just sharpened as a negative rake scraper, and I use that a lot of times for fine tuning things. Now, I was watching Stuart Batty, and he had said something that actually sat with me, that negative rake scrapers is actually like using abrasive. So I've taken it to use the negative rake scrapers. I'm gonna go overhead again. I'm just gonna do a quickie little sand. I'm not gonna get too fussy. This is just some 150. I would go through the grits, and for the inside, I do not stick my fingers in there. Okay, from a machinist standpoint, I'm gonna go back to the I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. And what I end up doing is I have a round dowel wrap. I have a slot in it. Oops. Yeah. I have a slot in it. Stick the sandpaper in there. And that's how I do internal sanding. And again, I would go, 150, 180, 240, 320, 400, and 600. Okay. And same thing on the handle part. Okay. Now keep in mind that the guy that showed this, he did the ball, first. I just do it a little ass backwards. It's the way I am. So I'm gonna just go and park that. Now we'll go back to the tailstock picture. God, I'm not gonna be able to see anything. So basically, this is a Nova G3 chuck. And again, Ron always has to mess around with stuff. So I ended up taking a Dremel tool, had this set up so it was turning dead bag true. I took a Dremel tool and a cutoff wheel, and actually made a little groove just behind just behind the end of the jaws. Okay, and what happens is it grabs that chamfer rather well. Whoops. I should have left the center on. Ah. Tell you what, let me do another one. Okay, I shouldn't have cut it off when I did. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm gonna shape another one. The bulb. I go back to the overhead. There we go. So when I'm doing this, I kind of get into a rhythm, and I'm a little nervous because I actually have people watching me.
We're not too mean.
So you could use a 1/2-inch drill. You know, the thing is, depending on how much of a wall you wanted, you know. But I actually set up a 1/2-inch drill for doing the bowl part. So
How thin is that narrow part on the outside?
about 7/8,
Okay.
thereabouts. You know, it's so the big thing for me was I didn't want to do all that carving. So that's what made me come up with this approach. And by doing a little cut in the chuck, in the jaws, I've had them sit real well in there. Like I said, I make these at like 50 at a time. But I haven't done any in quite some time because I haven't had to sell any. I haven't had any, you know.
Does the carve out handle, does that serve any purpose or is it just for looks?
For me, it's aesthetics, it's feel. You know, the guy that did it, he's made thousands and thousands of these, but he has it flat. And when I did it with the flat, I didn't like it.
It looks really nice with the carved out part.
You know, it just, and again, so for what I'm doing, I'm really just concerned with getting the shape, okay? I use a lot of sandpaper. And again, I use the dowel with the piece of wood. You know, I definitely do not stick my fingers inside of things, pretty much ever. Okay, I'm not going to go through and do a bunch of sanding. Now, if I had wanted to, and I probably will, I'm going to just do a quickie. Whoops. All right, hold on. The outer shape needs to be a little fine tuning, so. Because let me go to the overhead, there's a little flat on the handle area. Okay, see it right here? Okay, so I'm just gonna dress that up just a smidgen. Yeah. Okay, so now I'll be able to use the center mark to make sure it runs concentric. I don't normally use a center like this. I usually use a cup center kind of. There we go. Excuse me a minute, I have to touch up this tool. One day maybe I'll buy a brand name. That didn't take too long. Should have done 2 swipes. Almost. I'm worried I'm gonna throw this thing. You know, the word. So I don't cut off. Hold on a second. I don't cut off between centers. Oh boy. Well, I'm really a lousy demonstrator. Because this is gonna blow up, I think.
What's going wrong?
When I'm in production mode, I really haven't had issues with this, but I'm getting nervous that I'm gonna throw this.
You're doing fine. Relax.
Yeah, it was good.
So trust me, I would normally cut those off, but that's why. The stem cracked. That's why I was feeling. I don't know if you can see it, but when I was clamping on it, ah, let's see if I can't get this one in here. Oh, I know what I can do. There's a will, there's a way.
You have a cone?
Yeah,
There you go.
I've never seen one like that before.
that came with a center I bought.
I
But
think one way.
that should be, not actually, nope, it's not gonna make it. Have no fear.
You're teaching flexibility.
Selectability. Okay,
That's not bad.
let me just snug that up. Hopefully I won't crack this one. This is a piece of cherry, I believe. Oh, actually, this is apple. This is actually a piece of apple. Okay, so there's actually a recess right behind the little thing at the end. And if I do it right, it catches the little chamfer and it holds it actually real securely, but I'm not feeling so secure right now. So the center I just put on there is what I use for doing my my legs, my feet. It's a little cup. Really helps to be ambidextrous.
It does. Now, do you do the sphere just by eye, or do you have a template?
Actually, now I'm gonna come in here with the
Ah, that's right. Forgot about that.
I really wish I remembered that guy's name. Okay. So in his doing the ball, the sphere first, it's definitely simpler from that aspect. But take a little. I'm gonna hit it with a little sandpaper and then come back to the tool. I would normally be running my dust collector. That's pretty good right there. And you go through the sandpapers and so on and so forth. Okay. So basically the cutoff jig is just a piece of wood, cut out a bowl in it. I stuck some EPDM rubber in there so it would have some friction to hold it when I cut it. Okay, I made a top piece to clamp it. Now, one thing is when you go to cut these, you see this right here? If you have that to be at the bottom and top of the bowl, so to the right and left when you cut it off, it's actually a lot prettier grain on the bottom of the bowl. Am I making sense?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. So that circular stuff or whatever, the grain stuff, it ends up being a prettier bowl. Now, I'm gonna go and cut this in half. I don't have a video for it, but basically, I set it on here. I cut a little bit on one side, then I cut the other side, and then I cut right through. And then we'll come over and finish it up. So hold on. The bandsaw is gonna be noisy. Here it goes. Sorry about that. So basically, now that it's cut in half, so you're getting 2 out of every piece. Okay. So I'm going to switch to Chuck. Okay, so now on the Chuck, I've got these flat jaws. Actually, Tom has a set of these to give away at some point in time.
Yep, well, next time we sort of get together, then we'll
Okay,
raffle them off.
now when I do these form jaws, a lot of times I use thread inserts. Now again, I'm going relative to my metalworking stuff to an extent, but I use these little, I don't know if you can, wait, where am I? Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a brass threaded insert. Okay, so it's got a machine thread on the inside and a coarse wood thread on the outside, and so I use 8 of those to secure the wood to the jaws. Okay, you don't have to do that. You could do wood screws and whatnot, but this is a really punky piece of ash, and you know, I just do stuff like that all the time. I overthink stuff. So now, where I went in with the drill on the inside, I actually could open it up more, but that just removes a lot of the excess that I would have to carve out. So I'm gonna go, oops, wrong camera. Hi, folks. Yeah, okay, so this has been cut out, okay, and made clearance for the handle, and I've secured pieces of wood on, so I dish it out, and then I secure these other pieces of wood on top to catch on the lip of the bolt. Okay, and what's going to happen? It's going to push it up against that lip. Okay, so the face of the spoon is up against a little shoulder in here. So where is that other? Oh, right here. Okay. So I went and did this because I wanted to do one out of wood, because this is actually the thing I actually use. Okay, this is to set the depth of the bowl of the spoon. Okay, but I did this other thing so you see you could do something like this for you know, you don't have to be a machinist. Okay, I'm just gonna put a center in there. And this was the exact same way that he went and did it. Only he used a piece of tape. I'm hitting this stop that I made, but basically the intention I was trying to show on the one that I made, and what the hell did I just do with it? Oh, well, it's basically the shoulder of it is a stop. Now I just put this drill into a piece with some hot melt glue so I can pop it out, you know, but basically that's how you get the depth of the bowl. Now, is that that washes out too much, huh? Let's see if I can, that ain't too bad. I need a
Not
little
bad.
light.
That's pretty good.
Hold on, folks, I'm grabbing a traditional bowl gouge. Sorry. It's a bottom feeder, but it'll work. So when I was practicing doing this today, I hadn't gotten around to this step of it. But that's basically it. Okay. And then I would set the thing and do the sanding. Okay. So now I'm going to show you, you know, I would do the sanding. I'm not going to do sanding right now, but again, I've made all kinds of things to do sanding. Oh, is that wrong drawer? I don't normally stick my fingers in there. Okay. Just out of habit. Here we go. Okay. So where are we going? Okay. So this is the type of thing that has some Velcro on here. And I have these little strips of sandpaper, and that's what I would normally go in there and sand with. Just kind of anal, but not sticking my fingers inside of pockets, cavities, and whatnot. I have like 12 of these things. So I'll set it up with each grit. Okay, so that's basically it. You know, it's a little off center, but whatever. You know, I probably would have, if I were actually doing a true production run, I would have taken this top off and trued up the bowl, you know, the thing in here, and, you know, recut it, but I didn't.
Do you do any more carving on the handle at all, or?
Yeah,
you get up, or-
I'm getting ready to show you what,
Oh, okay.
how I go
I'm sorry.
about that. Okay, and I made this just for tonight. So I'm gonna go this is good. Okay, so this is something that I made. Okay, let me kill this light. Okay, this is something I made. It's a Morse, number 2 Morse taper here. Threaded rod, this fits my Rikon lathe. And here's one I made out of wood. Piece of threaded rod, just kind of glued in there. And it doesn't need a lot of holding force. Now, wait a second. Oh. Hold on. Okay, so now I've got a carbide burr on here. Okay. And so here's a 1/4-20 thread insert with a set screw inside there. So I can switch out for sandpaper and whatnot. And I don't use flap sanders. I use a lot of different stuff. But basically, I'm going to just show you how this, a washer and a nut. That's just to keep it from pulling forward. If you had a lathe chuck, a drill chuck that were threaded, then you could probably use something like that. And now I normally do this part of it on my little Rikon lathe, but I'm going to go to the overhead. Okay. Now, Sabertooth sells some marvelous things for carving and whatnot.
Hey, Ron, what speed
Yeah.
is your lathe at now?
I don't know, it's almost full bore. Now it's full speed. What, 3,600 RPM or something like that? I don't know. Okay, so I'll get it near what I want. Okay, and actually, one thing I kind of forgot. I would normally go over my belt sander and do a quick touch on the face. Okay, now this bowl and outside would be definitely dead bag concentric if I had retouched up the jaws, my form jaws. I'd even check that. I thought by using the thread insert stuff, it wouldn't remount perfect, and that shows it didn't. They're definitely into each one. So let me take a little bit more on this. Yeah, the saber-tooth people have some really nice burrs. Okay, so let me pull something down, see if I can't. Let's see, which one? Basically, I use flap sanders, flap wheels, and tapered. So here's a flap wheel. I have so many different ones. I have some real small ones. I think it's let's see, 1 second. Okay. Sanding stuff, you can never have too much of it. I actually have some cone type. I'm just trying to find them. Sorry about this, but here we are. Okay, so I'll put one of these in. It comes with a. I will put this in. So basically, can you see it? Here's the mandrel. That screws on. And then I've got so many of these that, let's see, where's the piece? Oh, that's the other one. Oh, right here. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the belt sander for a quick minute, just to do the face, just to clean that up. And it's gonna get noisy again, sorry. So then I'd end up getting into hand sanding. And let me get to the, yeah. Okay, so then, again, I assumed that my bowl was gonna be good. Seeing this, if I were gonna do more of these, I'd go and re-kiss the jaws, put the cast back on, then it would run dead bag. You know, like I said, I make these at 50 at a time or so. And that's uniform. That one's uniform, okay? And And I'll, you know, with this, I'll just go and do some, sanding doesn't take that long. I'll use a Dremel tool with, geez, let's see. Sleeve. Okay, these work real well. I just didn't make a thing for 1/8 inch, but you could do that on the lathe as well. But with the Dremel tool, you could get in there and clean it up. It really doesn't take that long. That's basically it. I was trying to prep beforehand, but I spent too much time splitting wood. And then when I realized it was 5 o'clock and I hadn't set up the cameras, you know, so I apologize for not doing perfect, but it's a concept, you know, or for me, that's what's important, to get the gist of how it's done, and then I figure out how I'm gonna go about doing it. But the only reason I go about my way is so that way I don't have to do as much carving in here, because I like that. I like that done out like that, okay? Where the other guy, it was just flat. Okay, and me, it just has a better feel, so. Any questions?
You did
You
a great
finished that, Ron?
job.
Yeah, that was really good.
Well,
Thank you. Nice.
I wish I had spent a day or two proofing everything, because I'm really bothered by the off center. Okay, that eats me, you know. But the thing is, I spent so much time today trying to make all these tools to show you don't have to have, like this was the one to drill the stem area. Okay. And then this was for the bowl. And I made these just so you don't have to have metal. Okay. I make stuff out of metal because I can. Okay. And maybe if I hadn't spent as much time trying to make it to look like anybody can do it, you know, and you can. You just have to think about it a little bit. And okay, I hope, you know, I've made a couple of hundred of these. Okay.
Hey, Ron,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that everybody can do it. Your camera is aimed at a perfect example of where anybody can do it. Tom, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Tell him, Tom. The sheetrock.
Oh.
Anybody can do it.
Oh, well, here, check
Yeah,
this out.
Another direction.
The hole.
The hole. Yeah, I've had that.
We all have.
Actually, when my wife used to park in here, her car got hit a couple of times.
Anybody
I
can
didn't
do
tell her. I didn't tell her. So if anybody wants some apple, I've got cherry, I've got some ambrosia maple. Come by and get some wood. I actually, I probably have 300 bowls left out, because I found that a lot of my wood was going bad. So I spent the month of January roughing out blanks, you know. So I've got wood, I've got a lot of it, and you know, the only thing is on the walnut, I because of the time I've spent sealing the ends and stuff, if you want to do a little donation, I'd appreciate it. You don't have to, but I'm putting putting the wood in these big metal crates now and stuff, whatever. It's a never-ending learning curve.
Ron, what time of day
There's
would it be
always
best for
something
you?
that can be better.
Ron, what time of day would it be best for you?
Anytime I'm up around 4:30.
Is it okay if I put your cell phone in the chat?
Yeah, honestly, I seldom have my phone with me.
Oh,
So I'm going at 9 o'clock to go get the wood. So that'll maybe take me till afternoon time or something like that. You know, I say it's free, but I never take my time into account. You know, so, but I'm not coughing up cash because I don't have any. That's why I make most of a lot of the gouges I use I've made because I can, you know. One of these days, maybe a D-Way or a Thompson or we'll see, whatever. But in the meantime, just keep shopping. Shopping often.
So the address and the cell phone number are in the chat if anyone wants to copy those down real quick before the meeting ends.
Okay, the thing is, I'll be home all weekend. I'm planning to be doing wood splitting, so if you come up, you don't necessarily have to call. Okay, just show up. I'm not going anyplace. If I go anyplace, it'll be to the dump, and it's like 4 miles away. But you know, hey,
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the demonstration, Ron. Did a
Great
nice
demo.
Thank
job,
you.
as
You
usual.
did a good job.
when I saw those, you know, I like to make stuff that gets used, and I actually use one every single day. Okay, and the best compliment I ever get is people saying, geez, we use it all the time. You know, actually there's some neighbors up the street that they've got so much stuff that I've given them, you know, it just works out well. You know, what goes around comes around. And so, okay, so it didn't come out perfect, but you get the gist of how it's done. Now, like I said, when the guy that actually does them, he's probably made 30,000 or something. Doing the sphere and first is definitely simpler. Now I haven't given it much thought, but I probably make a chuck that'll hold the sphere. That way I can do the hollowing out. You know, it's a work in progress. Matter of fact, I know for a fact I'm gonna make some jaws that'll hold the sphere, and then it'll be simpler, and I'll still be able to haul it out. So it's a never-ending change thing. Hey, one thing I wanted to do is say is this is basically, I use this to clean my Morse tapers. Okay, it's a really simple thing to make. I highly recommend everybody make one and use it to clean the dust and stuff out of your Morse tapers. I actually have a couple of them. I've used them for different things. This is, you know, here's one that I forget what the hell I was doing, but you know, whatever. You know, I want to give a big shout out, thanks to Jim Forbes for lending me books, because it's phenomenal how much you can learn by you know, seeing what the old timers did. You know, and I came across a couple of things that I hadn't actually thought of from holding aspect, and so a big thank you, Jim, for lending me the books. And
I have another batch for you when you're ready.
okay, well, I'm basically done with these. I'm doing repeats now, but we'll hook up at some point.
Yep.
Great. Very nice job tonight.
Okay, well, again, as with all of my demos, they're not perfect, but you get the idea.
Yep.
You know,